Right, spring is in the air, it's been a long winter, the sun is out, the birds are singing. This video is all about preparing you and your short game for the season ahead. So I'm going to focus on some key fundamentals within the shots that we all need when we miss greens, sort of low chip and run shots, soft landing shots, bunker shots, pitch shots. From a technical perspective, but also from a mental perspective, how do we get back into that competitive and focused mode mentally that we need? After a long winter, it doesn't really matter too much how we play, but now into the season, we need to get a little bit more on it mentally as well. So improving your technique and improving your mental game. So we're going to start with the basic chip and run shot, the shot that hopefully you get the most around the green from a fringe fairway lie with a little bit of green to work with. Now, in the winter time, when the greens are absolutely soaked and really slow, you can fire that ball right at the pin. You can use a lot less loft because you need the speed. The ground and the greens have really firmed up in the last few weeks. Very little rain. So we need to adapt. We need to start thinking about how we can perhaps control the ball more and get a little bit more spin. So I'm going to be using a 52 degree for this 22 yard shot. In the winter time, I might be using something more like a 9 iron or even an 8 iron to get it there. So we're going to focus on getting a little bit more spin, but this is a chip and run, release one shot. So just to recap on the fundamentals, because we all know we don't play much in the winter. It's very easy for these things to slip. So what we're looking for is one golf ball between the heels, one club head there between the middle of the feet, and then two club heads there between the toes. That sort of traps the centre of gravity, gets us setting up nice and neatly with our stance. Ball position just back of centre, slight forward shaft lean. Really important you get your weight on your forward side here. So for me as a right-handed golfer, my left side, I imagine there's a pivot line running through my foot, through a knee, through the hip, and into the shoulder. One of the most common faults I see is when the golfer pushes the weight forward but then reverses the upper body, and we get into this sort of long game setup. Fantastic if you want to launch a driver, but terrible for a chip and run shot. It's going to play havoc with your low point. You're going to hit way behind the ball and hit the ball heavy or hit the ground before the ball or thin it. So very hard to get that really crisp contact when you've got this tilt in the shoulder. So really create that pivot line there, and make sure as well when you're setting up for a chip and run shot that the angle here between the top of the forearm bone there to the top of the thumb is really quite flat. If you start getting too far away from the ball and you create too much angle in your wrist, that's going to create too much wrist hinge and tend to get you under the plane going back. So come in nice and close, get the handle high. We've got the stance, we've got the pivot point there. And the final thing, after a long winter when it's cold and we're gripping it quite tight probably, is just to try and relax a little bit. When the sun's out, start to enjoy it, start to soften up a bit. Let your arms hang naturally. When you let your arms hang naturally, the arms don't hang down bolt straight. They have a little bit of flex in the elbows, and that's going to help you get a little bit more control around the greens and feel things better. So the setup really, if you get your setup basics right, it's very difficult to hit a bad shot. You get a little bit of check there. You can see how that had some lovely control on the ball. And I didn't really focus too much on what I was doing in the swing, because if you get your basics right, it kind of promotes the right chain reaction of the actual swing itself. But a few bits you can look out for. The plane in which you go back is important. This would be above the plane, this would be below the plane, and this would be on plane. Okay, now the most common fault I see without doubt is the player working it under the plane, and that then promotes a contact that's too far behind the ball for a chip and run shot. So just feel like the club head's staying a little bit more outside of your hands, a little bit of rotation with the upper body, and that's more or less where you'd want the club as an extension of your left arm there. As a right-handed golfer, more or less a 20-yard shot. Okay, obviously as you go longer it starts working more behind you, but for a chip shot we're looking at that nice line there. And then from there, the most important thing is not to go hitting it with your hands and driving. Just feel like the chest here is the engine and the chest pivots around, and it's important to hold your finish. See, as I've gone through there, I'm holding my finish. Nice bit of check again there as it just rolls to the foot away from the hole. But you can see how I'm holding a finish, butt of the grip on that left hip. That's what I call release one. That means I've not driven through this way and I've not flipped it. The body is the engine that moves through this way, but always check where your follow through is, because you've got to be your own coach. You know, you've got to be able to do that. And if you start driving the handle too hard, for example, the ball's going to come off really, really quick. And you start flipping it this way, the ball's going to come off quite weakly. So holding that follow through is important. You can check where you're finishing, and also it's important to look professional as well. You've got to look good at this game. So you want to be holding that there and really feel everything's in sync. So they're the basic fundamentals for the chip and run. Make sure you're doing those. Maybe just check yourself in the reflection or record yourself, and hopefully that's going to get that shot nicely where you want it. Okay, now we're going to move on to the soft landing shot. Right, so one shot you don't really need too much in the winter is the soft landing shot, because the greens are really soft. You can sort of fire it in there. But when the ground firms up and you're in those summer firm greens, quick greens, you do need to get your ball going through the air slower. And this is where my release 2 soft landing shot is going to help you, because it's going to land and spin and stop nice and quickly on a mid ball flight. It's not about hitting a lob shot here, it's a mid ball flight, but getting the ball going through the air nice and slowly, which you don't really need in the winter as well. When the ground is really soft, getting the club to bruise just before the ball and slide underneath it doesn't work very well, because the ground tends to give way. The ground is firmed up now, so we can start to trust that the bounce, the sole of the club will be able to work under the ball by hitting behind it indirectly. So it's a shot we can start to play. The grass, though, hasn't really started growing, but these lies, I would say, are amber-like lies. They're doable, but they aren't green-like lies. In a couple of months' time, when the grass is really grown, it sits up a bit more. This shot gets a lot easier, but it's just about achievable with the lie I've got here. So a couple of key points here, just to help you, just get reminders on how we set up for this shot. Ball position wants to move towards the left heel, so we're popping it forward in the stance a bit more. Don't need any shaft lean here, just have it straight in line with the back of the ball. You do get a little bit wider, flare the foot a little bit more as well. The weight is still very much forward. You can allow the right side to slightly drop here, because you are looking to get the club, as I say, just hitting slightly behind it so the club softly works through the ball rather than driving ball first contact here. If you get the ball first here, it's going to come off a little bit hotter, which isn't what you really want for certain shots around the green. So the wrists can sit a little bit lower here as well. So a little bit more angle in the wrist here, and then you're set up. Now really, there's one final thing as well for this shot. It's grip pressure. You've got to grip this super light, super relaxed. I mean, the lighter you hold it, the more the club is going to want to swing on its own momentum, almost letting the club swing with the weight of the golf club. Okay, if you grip it tight, that isn't going to happen. You're not going to get the ball hanging in the air, which is what this shot is all about. Backswing wise, you want to feel like you're turning. You don't want to feel like you're going to get super wristy. The light grip is going to do a lot of this for you, but really work on getting the club into a toe-up position. We don't want it pointing down. That takes a lot of loft and bounce off, makes it hard to work through the ground very well. So keep it in that position there, and then let the club release. Just after impact, the butter grip's now going to be on the belt buckle. This is release 2, and just keep your chest moving, and we should see it come out nice and softly, which is what you want when you've got little green to work with. You see that just landed there, nice and soft. Okay, it's really firm greens actually, but it still stopped quite quickly. And you can see I hit that before the ball, and the club just slid underneath it, nice and smooth. You can see I hit that probably 3 inches before the ball. Look how softly it came out. This shot isn't about being perfect. If you've got the right lie, you can hit this before the ball, and it will slide nicely underneath like that. There we go. That's the soft landing shot. Okay, a great shot to have. You do need it more in the summer from these runoff areas, but you do need to make sure you've got the lie. If the lie was more sort of like this, sort of down, then I wouldn't play this shot. Just so we're totally clear, I would play the release 1, the first shot we did, because I need ball first contact. So I would play this shot because I can't get the club under the ball. I would have to play it further back. I'd add a little bit of hinge in, but I'm hitting down with a bit of divot and really making sure we get that strong contact with a bit more leading edge down. Okay, so the IQ side of golf, as I talk about a lot, if you watch the videos, is about reading the line and adapting, but hopefully those fundamentals for the soft landing shot are important to make sure you get. If you've got the lie, getting the club up there, let it release, keep the chest moving, and hopefully that covers some of the fundamentals there. In terms of club loft, I'd be using my 56 for this shot. I carry 52, 56, 60. Don't need a 60 for this shot. 60 doesn't really encourage the release, so probably a second most lofted club. And you know, for more details, go to my book, and we've done your scratch the surface there. But if you really want to get inside the release 2, get into the book. 3 releases, a short game system, and you'll learn even more. But hope that helps you. So hopefully you're not going to need this shot too much this season, the lob shot. This is really when you are in position Z, you've got no green to work with, and you've got to get your ball landing as vertically as you can. This is a difficult shot. It's hard to get the distance control because it's going so much into the air. So try and refrain from using this shot unless you really need to. I use my release 3 in the bunker quite a lot to really release it through the sand. Honestly, how many times do I hit a release 3 in a whole golf season? Probably count on one hand. But it's worth hitting a few in terms of your spring practice to kind of get you trusting the shots should you need it. Now the lie is important. If your lie is down a little bit, you just can't attempt this shot. You need your ball sitting up okay. It's got to have some grass under the ball so the club can work under it. You are looking to slide it behind with an indirect contact here. If it was sitting down, you've got to go ball first, and you've got to try and hold the angle a bit more and get the contact. It's going to come out a little bit hotter, so you might have to hit it past the pin. So understanding the limitations of lie is important. But let's say we trust the lie. It's all about getting the basics right. Nice wide stance, really sit down nice and low, really put the angle in the wrist now here. Worse sometimes as well, just give yourself a slightly stronger grip, show a few more knuckles. That helps you cup the wrist and get the loft staying on both sides of the ball. Nice long swing here, lots of wrist, turn the chest. Don't need to hit it as hard as you think. We'll see if we can get it coming down really softly. By the way, I put the bag on the green here because the pin was just too far on. So the bag is only about 1 yard on the green. So that's where I'm looking to hit it. So a nice high shot. And there we go. Stopped absolutely dead because the land angle was so vertical, it doesn't go forward. Risky shot. So, you know, you've got to weigh up your level, you know, when you're playing this. Lie's not so good here. Let's see if we can do it from a bearer lie. So lots of hinge. Can't do it from that lie. Okay, went straight underneath it. So it's a tough shot. It's a tough shot. So don't play it unless you really need to. But there is release 3, the lob shot. Useful if you really are in position Z. Okay, so bunker play. It does change a little bit as you get out of the winter. In the winter, all the rain compacts the sand. You need to be playing your bunker shots fairly steeply with more of a release 1. There's much more of that on my various other videos, online school and book there. But I'm going to talk about how you play the summer conditions where the sand generally gets much lighter. Okay, you need to think about applying more release, more bounce to the club, a little bit more speed to get that higher shot and get the required spin. So setup fundamentals, a lot of them very similar to the lob shot we just talked about. Nice and wide of the stance there. Left foot turns out around about 45. Ball position, I like it around about 1 golf ball inside the heel. Don't play it too far forward. I think too many golfers play it too far forward and just take too much sand. So I like it a little bit further back than maybe most would say. And then open the face because we're dropping the hands nice and low here. We need to open the face to offset where the loft aims. And because there's a nice lie here, the sand's soft and there's a decent amount of it, we're going to push the pressure forward but reverse the tilt a little bit here. That helps me come in nice and shallow into the sand, which is the key when there's a lot of sand there. And loads of release. You can pick towards a 2 or 3 release here, so somewhere here, and then make sure you keep turning. And I always say you've got to try and get it in the holster. So when I talk about putting it in the holster, I mean you rotate and you whip it in there, okay? And that gives you a little bit more height and a bit more spin. Bit of an awkward distance. This is 25 yards here. So I've used my 56 and increased my chest speed a little bit to get it there. But the main thing here, just for you to get back into the season and back into fundamentals, is keep your pressure down. Too many players in the bunker are moving side to side, and that's where you get heavy shots and thin shots. So the main thing, just to get back into it, is pressure down, keep the loft on, keep your chest turning, and your main thing is to get it out. But let's see if we can just make some nice contact. That's a really nice shot. Oh, I nearly went in. But you can see I laid that down, went through the sand really easily because I let the club work this way and slide. It wasn't going this way. In the winter time, when the sand is compact, I play it much more downward this way. I attack down. Now you start doing that when the sand gets lighter, the sand sort of eats the club up and you're getting away by just very lucky to get out. Much deeper divot. In the summertime and spring, when the sand is starting to get lighter, we want to skip it more. So lots of release and really skip it through with the chest turning and lots of release, and you can be hitting bunker shots like that. Hopefully that helps you. So we're on to pitching, that awkward distance, that's 30 to 80 yard shot. We've got 50 yards here, we're going to this first flag. And you know, after a long winter where you're playing off wet fairways, I mean, it's so easy, by the way, to miss-hit your pitch shots from wet fairways, because if you get it a little bit heavy, the ground just gives way. So what you end up doing is sort of really driving into it, and now the ground's firmed up, we can trust it a little bit more and we can start to release the club a bit more. So in winter time, all my pitch shots are release ones. They look like this because I just want to get my club on the back of the ball strongly. Because the greens are fairly soft, I can fire it in low and it is going to stop. Greens get firmer, we need to get the ball going through the air a little bit slower, something called the smash factor, which is the ball speed in relation to the club speed. The smash factor's got to come down to around about 1.0. In the winter time, my smash factor will be much higher, about 1.15, okay, so it's going to come off hotter. So we're going to lower the smash by releasing the club a little bit more. So it's a release 2 for my standard pitch shot, but I let the club turn over. Unlike a greenside release 2, where my loft stays on this way, a pitch release for me, the club releases to the belt buckle, but the face turns over with the body there, and I want to put my club on the target through the shot there. That's the important difference between the greenside and the pitch in release 2. So pitching fundamentals in terms of stance, you can use my address system, there's videos on that, and it's all in the book and the online course about how you can set up differently to get distance control. But really the key here is making sure you have pressure down. Put the pressure through the feet into the ground. Heavy feet. Don't want to be loose in your feet. You don't want to be moving side to side. So flare the foot, pressure down the grip a little bit, and then really keep your weight very much on that forward side, which you then pivot your chest around your feet. If you look at the great pictures, you'll see that the right foot here barely gets off the ground. It's very much the chest around your feet. You don't want to be driving through like a long shot. This is still very much part of the short game family. It isn't a long game family shot where you want weight transfer. So down there, let's try and get a nice release 2 to that pin. Chest works around your feet, release the club. It's coming out really softly, landed just by the pin, just skipped on a little bit. Nice level divot, so I didn't hit massively down on it. I just let the club slide on the turf and the ball came off nice and soft. And you can see here my chest never stops moving. That's the important thing when you pitch. Always move in the chest. You can see how calm the leg action is and how nice and smooth the speed is. And if we had the Trapman out here, we'd be seeing a smash factor of around about 1.00. I can just tell by how that ball's going through the air. There we go, nice and close. Good, so that's pitching, that's really going to help you. Don't forget, by the way, that all of you should be at a level where you can very easily work on your trajectory control. So if you've got a front middle pin, do exactly what I've just shown you, okay? Probably with 56 or 54, whatever you carry. If the pin's really at the front, nothing wrong with 58 or maybe a 60 at times, but I do see too many golfers when the pin is towards the back of the green or even on a bit of a ledge, using too much loft and creating too much spin. So I am a fan of using less loft to pitch with as well. So I've got a 52 now, and then doing that release 1 finish that I mentioned at the beginning, hit it in lower, land it at the front of the green, but let it then run out much more. So this is more the release 1 pitch. Lower, see the follow through is different, it's gone in lower. That would be the back pin pitch as well. You can all do that. Don't think you're not at a level where you can start to think about trajectory. It's not difficult at all. The body action is the same. It's just you're finishing slightly different and you're using a slightly different loft. So hopefully that's going to help you tidy up your pitching. So we've played all the shots you need around the green. Now we're on the green and the greens are getting firmer, they're getting quicker. We've got to roll the ball a little bit better. In the winter, you can just give it a bit of a whack. Now we've got to start stroking it to get the read right, get the roll better. So putting obviously is a huge subject on its own. There's a video I've made just on putting. If you really want to get into detail, check that one out. But here are some sort of quick fundamentals that might help you just to get you focused in time for the season there. So let's make sure the ball position is roughly just inside that left heel there. Eyes more or less over the ball, and The grip you use is important as well. There's so many different grips. I'm not going to tell you how to grip it. I use a reverse overlap grip, so I put all the fingers of my right hand on the putter and I put my left index finger there over my right hand, and that's called the reverse overlap. That's what all the greats you've used, Tiger, Crenshaw, etc. So that's a nice way to putt. It sort of locks the wrist basically, and it stops too much wrist movement throughout the stroke. And really let your arms hang naturally. I feel like my lower body is really heavy, so from my hips down to my feet is like concrete, and my arms hang really softly. And then from there, the actual stroke itself is just get back to a feel where you're not using your wrist too much. In the winter time when it's slow, it's okay to give it a whack, as I said earlier. Really now it's about stroking. I really feel like I'm just working it back and through without using my wrist too much. And a good one for all of you as well is to really focus on staying still through the putt. I do see lots of putters doing this, okay? So you tend to move way too much, dragging the putter inside because the head looks early. So stay down, let the arms hang nice and softly, and just roll it, okay? Really feel like you roll the putt rather than hitting the putt. Stroke it. There we go. And you see how nicely these greens are rolling here, okay? And you don't tend to get that in the winter too much, but now they're rolling. It's important to just get the roll back on the ball. Just practice that stroke. Just practice that roll, and trying to take those wrists back out of it. And of course, I'd recommend you get into some challenges. There's loads of putting games out there you can do, such as going round the clock. Try and build some pressure back into your putting, which again, you might not have had too much over the winter, particularly these short putts, okay? So if I just move in a little bit closer now, and just these short sort of 3-foot putts, these are ones that maybe you've been given quite a lot over the winter. Now you've been asked to hold them. And on these ones, really stay in the process of making your putt. Making your putt is the stroke and starting the ball on line at the right pace. Making the putt is getting in the hole. So I concern myself with what I need to do. And then if I do that, I tend to make the putt as well. So trying to get that real mindset on these short putts about where you need to start it, what pace, rather than getting too obsessed about the actual outcome, because that's when players start missing because they're dragging too much that way. So a few small little putting fundamentals as well that might tidy your putting up. Remember, you can practice putting anyway. Do it in your living room, wherever you can, and to sharpen up for the season. So we put some good technical fundamentals in place about how to play the key shots around the green. Now it's important to switch on mentally and get you really focusing on these shots. There's a famous Jack Nicklaus saying that he never once in practice or tournament play hit a shot that he hadn't seen first. And that means picturing the shot, painting the picture, as Tiger Woods would say. And that means thinking about the ball flight, the spin, how it's breaking and how the ball's getting to the hole. Because I think it's important to separate the internal thoughts, which are how you actually play the shot, which are important when you're training. But when you go and play, particularly when you're competing, you've got to get into the external focus. And it's amazing how the instinct and the mind tends to work out for you if you can switch your focus. So we've got a shot here to the back pin. And what I'm going to play here is a little game where I've got 3 pins in this little area of the green. Obviously here at Woburn we're blessed with an amazing world-class short game area, but I'm not going to use all the pins here because I think a lot of you might have a short game area this size here, and I want to show you how you can do this game to really switch you on and sharpen you up mentally. And the game here is I'm going to play 9 shots around this area: pitch shots, bunker shots, soft landing shot, chip shots, and I'm setting myself a target, quite an ambitious target. I'm giving myself 50 feet in the bank. And that means if I hit the first shot to 5 feet, I've got 45 feet left. So there's a bit of pressure, because I think after a winter of playing without pressure, you can try and in your practice, if you can, get into the on-course feel where, you know, it matters a little bit more. And if I'm going to try and beat 50, so it adds as I go, every shot, the pressure adds up. So I think that's a good number. It's averaging about 5.5 feet for every shot, but there are going to be some tough ones, okay? So I'm bringing in Michael here. Michael's going to caddy for me, and you've got the wedges ready. So come this side, Michael. That's it, and we're going to play to that back pin. Now, what are you thinking? I'm going to use a 52 here, which I've got in my hand. The reason I'm using a 52 is because it's uphill, and I don't want the spin to be too much. If I was to use a 56 here, it would spin too much. If I was to use something like an 8 or a 9-9, because the greens I've got pretty quick, it could run past the hole. So I like a 52. It's going to go in low, spin a little bit, and then run out. And when you're playing this game, try and think about the club before you do it to really visualize and paint that shot. So, practice swing, really play your practice swing with intent. That means make your practice swing look like the shot you're about to play. A lot of people have a practice swing which doesn't replicate the swing they're about to make, which is a bit of a waste of time. So, I'm seeing my landing spot, I'm seeing it running out, I'm using a release 1, chip and run with a 52, and I'm then going to pace it out, see how far it is from the hole. So contact was pretty good. Take it, I'll take that. I'll take that. So let's have a look. Let's pace this one out. What do you reckon, Michael? I'll let you call it actually, so there's no bias. 3?
3 feet.
3 feet. Right, so 50, we're now on 47. What shot are you giving me now?
So we're going to go soft landing to this closest pin.
Okay.
And I'll give you a
Don't be too cruel on
really
the lie.
nice lie. There you go. Doesn't get better than that.
Really? Your definition of a nice lie? It's pretty firm, but it's okay. I can get the club under the ball. I can do a release too. So the first thing is you read the lie, and it's to the front pin. So we know the greens are firm. We know it's breaking left to right a bit. So I have to think about the break on the green. A lot of golfers just always straight at the pin, and it breaks away. So think about the break. Landing this not too far on the green, but it's a release 2 to try and soften it. The practice swing to really visualize and feel the shot. Play that nicely. Is it breaking? We've got a biggish bounce. I played that perfectly, and this is why you want to be doing this challenge, because it gets you into feeling the conditions which have really firmed up. Like if I did that say 3 weeks ago, that probably would have ended up short, but the greens are firming up, so it's actually run on quite a little bit. So what do you think, Michael?
Ooh, 4 feet.
Well, I think you've been generous there.
Is that 5?
I think that's 5 feet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 feet. So okay. So what are we on now?
Going to bunkers next.
Bunker shot. Okay. What's the footage? 42.
40. We were 47 less 5. 42.
42. Bunker shot. What, this pin?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Decent start. Great game this to get you sort of focused and feeling it as well. Feeling a bit of tension, and also feeling the conditions. So I'll let you give me the lie. No ball.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. And it's the first pin, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, when you walk into a bunker, you've got to switch on mentally, and that means when I'm walking in here, I'm looking at the lie, but I'm really feeling my feet. My sense of the feet and how much sand there is the most important thing. Now, I'm walking here, and I don't know if you can hear that, but that's really quite solid. So as I'm walking in, I'm starting to get slight alarm bells that this might kick on me. So I need to play this with a little bit less release than I might do if the ball was on this bit of sand. Okay, so that's all part of the switching on. And this is what you're training with this game. You're training your IQ as much as your technique. Pins around about 12 feet on, so I'm still going to use my 56, but I'm going to have a little bit less release to make sure it doesn't kick, because I need to take some insurance out on this light. Not going to be too much break on this one. Landed it just on the green. Yeah, see that played pretty much as good as I can. It's kicked on a little bit. I landed it on the edge of the green, and it's a very good job that I did assess that lie, because that's almost at the base of the bunker there. And as I played it, it didn't kick because I delivered it with a little bit more sharply to keep the leading edge down. Landed it on the edge of the green. It has run on a bit, but I think this shot is a shot that a lot of you would have just set into it and just played it your normal way and thinned it 50 yards over the green. So you have to read the lie. I think that might be, what do you reckon, 8, 9, 10 feet maybe? But
Good shot.
I played it as good as I could. I really played it as good. I think it's important you don't get obsessed about the outcome in short game. I couldn't have played that any better. On hindsight, I might have used my 56. It landed on the edge of the green, and it's just chased on a little bit. Hopefully I'd hold the putt.
Ooh.
I'll let you call it.
8.
8. Okay. 8 feet. Right. What does that take us to?
56. 36.
36. No, 34.
We were 42,
Yeah, 42 less 8.
less 8, 34.
34, right. Okay. Not just a golf pro, good mathematician as well. Right, so 34. Now we've done 3 shots, so I think I'm slightly over par, aren't I? So I need to get it under this next one. So give me another shot then, Michael.
Pitch shot
Okay.
to that back pin, the tall flag.
Okay. Well, that's a tough shot. It's about 40 yards,
Yeah.
and that's the lie. Firm. Branches over the head, so I can't go high. Downslope, very firm green. Probably got to carry this 32. Lowish flight. The lie is not particularly a sort of lie that I want to be releasing this too much. So release 1, 30 yards or so, let it run down. Pretty good. Pretty good. God, I got a big kick. It really is firming up. Okay, again, I played that as good as I can. It just bounced as if it was on a tabletop. This is the big difference between what we've had all winter and now. So yeah, that might be expensive, that one, Michael.
Let's
Go check that one out. What do you reckon, Michael?
9 feet.
9, okay. That takes us, what, to 25?
Yeah.
25 feet with 5 shots remaining. Oh, it's getting tight. Where are we going?
Bunker shot next.
Okay,
To same flag.
okay. Downhill, quick.
Yeah.
I've got a ball. Right. Okay, lie. All right. Again, this is really quick, really sharply downhill. I'm going to do a sort of release 2 bunker shot here, just splash it out and let it feed down. Not much break. Played it as good as I can. Sit.
Sharp.
Oh, that's good. That's got me back. That's only about a foot away. So that was nice. Okay, that's I was under a bit of pressure there after that last pitch shot. So what are we on now? 24.
1 foot.
24 feet. That was good. You need a good one like that every now and again. Okay, where are we off to?
Shall we do a nice little chip and run?
Chip and run, yeah, I like that. That's the shot we get the most.
Just off the green.
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, a chip and run to a really close flag
Okay,
from just off.
your call.
A lot of people get this. Good lie, but we're just off to a very tight flag.
Very tight. Okay. Because that is downhill and we know it's firm because we can see how the ball is reacting on this green.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my 60 here, but I'm going to play it like a little bit of a low spinner to try and hold the ground. So I'm going to play a 60 on my back foot here and just play a little sort of release 1, maybe slightly less than a release 1, maybe a little bit sort of a 0.5, landing it and just seeing it check to hold the slope, which might give me a little bit more chance of holding that the firm green. So 60 degrees, it's going to move to the left, the right. Played that nicely. It's actually come up a little bit short, too much spin, but we'll take that. What do you reckon?
2 feet.
2 feet. Okay.
Well done, good shot.
Takes us to what, how many?
22.
22 feet left.
Yep.
Okay. 22, 3 to go, just over 7 feet. Looking quite good. Depends on what sort of shots you're going to give me. Looks like we're on a downslope here.
On a downslope, far flag.
Yeah. Okay.
As it lies.
Okay. I'm going to use 56 here. So swap to the 56. The reason I'm using a 56 is on a downslope, the ball tends to come up a little bit hotter. If I was on a flat lie here, I'd use my 52 because it's actually uphill at the end. Don't want to spin it too much because the downslope's going to launch it a bit hotter. The ball's going to come up a bit quicker. So let's use a 56. A bit further back on a downslope, a little bit more shaft lean. Keep lean edge really low on these ones. You don't want to be releasing these shots at all off these slopes. I'm going to move right to left. Really see the shot, click into it. Haven't hold on yet. Here we go. This might be the moment. Played it well. A bit of check, breaking round.
Oh, good shot.
There we go. So that's a foot away. Really important the club selection. You can see for the 56 there how low and how hot that ball came off. If I'd have used a 9-iron or pitch wedge or a 50, it would have just gone way too far. So think about how the ball's going to launch off the different slopes. What are we on now? What we got, foot?
I'll give you a foot. 21.
21, 2 to go.
Two
It's
to go.
looking good, but depends where you're going to take me.
Out of the rough.
Out the rough. Here we go.
Whoa.
Not be as cruel as you want.
So it's a decent lie.
Yeah, that is okay. Bit of dry mud around it, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And which pin?
The further of those
Okay.
two on the right.
So it's super quick. Super quick. Can I get a release on that? I think I could probably put a little bit of release into this one. So I'm going to do a two release, landing it just in the sunlight and let it then break down off the right. So I've really seen the shot, I've seen the ball flight. I think the lie is okay, I can do this.
Same club.
I'm going to stick with the 56, yeah.
Okay.
I've got 22 feet left, yeah?
21.
21 feet left. Right, again, played it exactly as I wanted. Go on, go in the hole.
Go in.
Go in.
Ooh,
That's a nice shot.
some shot.
So landed that really, I think the more you really visualise your landing spot, it's a great saying, aim small, miss small. It's really helped, and it's just fed down really nicely. What's that, foot? 2
That's
feet?
a foot. No, we'll give you a foot.
Foot, okay. Well, looks like I've done this challenge, but never speak too soon. Don't know what shot you're going to give me for the final one. There's a bit of pressure now, you see, so I've got to still get this job done. Well, find me an interesting one. Through a tree.
I'm thinking neck close to a tree.
Okay. Oh my word, that is outrageous.
What do you do with that?
Which pin?
Yeah, this one here.
This one here, okay. We'll be all right, 'cause you're left-handed.
Absolutely.
Right, okay. But this happens, this really does happen. A lot of woven as well. So, I've got, how many feet have I got? I've got to do this within, I've spent 30 feet basically, so I've got 20
We've got
left.
21 to play with.
So I've got to get this within that, but look, we're going to try and be a bit more adventurous. So, option 1, I would use my 60 and stand here and sort of just work it that way. Option 2 is where I do the backhander here, and option 3 would be playing it left-handed. I'm going to go with option 1, so I need my 60 if that's okay, because I'm going to be seriously de-lofting this. So stand this side. There we go. Really work hard on your alignments. That face is there. I'll say never normally play the ball outside your back foot, but I'm making an exception here. Right, so making the club as tall as I can right at the top. And I've got to land it just in this fringe here. It's going to come out pretty hot, obviously, so I'll turn the 6-iron into about a 5-iron now. So a little bit of a hinge. When you've got shots like this, just rehearse your backswing. Gives you a feel. My arm's slightly catching the tree there. And then just hit it. If I can just carry this first bit of rough, I think it'll be okay. Well, I've done pretty well there. Okay, and that's what we call a tie spinner. So I think we've completed the challenge. We had 20 feet left. Bit of an awkward one there to finish with. That's going to be 8 feet. So basically I did that with 12 feet remaining. Next time I would do that game, I would take 12 off the 50. I go to 38, and can I beat 38? So it puts a little bit of pressure on. I think it's a nice game. It gets your competitive juices flowing, which you haven't really had over the winter. And there's plenty of other games like that, but that's just one example. So listen, hopefully that helped you understand some of the basics, some of the fundamentals to get you from the winter into your spring golf, so you can really work on your setup and swing for the key shots you need around the green and improve your focus with practice games like this. Enjoy your golf.